What's that bit? Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Nerdstalgia podcast. I am your host, Tim Babb, alongside Donnelly, who is definitely ready, Dan, and Richard. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing awesome, man. How are
Doing
you?
great.
That was not very convincing.
I'm doing
I
better
couldn't
now.
be better. I couldn't be better. It is Guardians of the Galaxy week.
Yes, it is.
Finally, we're going to get a Marvel movie that I think will deliver. From everything I've heard, all the rumblings, it sounds like it's going to deliver.
Early reviews are good.
Yes.
Early
I've heard
reviews
nothing
are
but
good.
good things so far.
Yep. Lots of news. Lots of news in the Marvel universe, kind of the cinematic universe. So we're going to cover some of that. And then we are also going to stay on the Marvel theme, being that it's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 week. And we are going to deliver some Marvel-related rankings. We're going to rank our top 5 Marvel Studios films of all time. I know there's going to be some debate there. I just assume it. With that being said, let's give a quick shout-out to the chat. We've got Chris in the chat, Christy, Kyle, Tara. There's more coming in. I should have waited. I'll shout you out as you guys start commenting. But yeah, we ready to go or what?
Always. Let's do it.
And as always, we are sponsored by, or I am sponsored by the fine Pilsner beer of Miller Lite. Patty, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, welcome.
Yes. So, how's everyone doing? How was your week?
The week was good, on a mild week. Nothing special really happened for me.
Very cool. Yeah, pretty quiet for me too. My folks came and visited and went out to eat and watched some TV and really pretty relaxing weekend, to be honest.
Yeah.
How about you, Rich?
Yeah, same. Pretty standard kind of week. Weather's a little gloomy. Just waiting for things to brighten up a little bit. Do some barbecuing and things like that.
Oh God, yes.
I can't wait to get sunburned. I'm waiting. Look how white I am. Look how pale. Just not gonna last this summer.
I thought that was your ring light.
No,
that's not a setting.
There's just a mirror. There's a mirror sitting there, and it's all I need.
Yep. The first week of summer, you'll be as red as Rich's shirt.
Yep. I can light the towers of Sauron. I can light the warning beacons. All I have to do is get on my roof. So.
The Queen has arrived. What's up, Sherry? Thanks for joining us. It's funny because every week when we talk about how we think the show went, I always say, why don't I just stop asking how everyone's weeks are? Because it's drier than a fart. No one has anything to say because let's face it, our lives these days are not all that exciting. So like my weekend, I was, dealing with a sick child that was throwing up, which actually reminds me of a story. So this, I'm going to just jump right in and tell the story. So worked at this call center in Dover, New Hampshire. Okay. If Pat is watching, he'll understand this story. So there was this guy by the name, it was a shady operation too, right? Like good money. It was in an old mill building. It was kind of like my first experience into like the sales, career. Tim has already made clear that his farts aren't dry. I'll tell you a story about that too, but I am not.
No.
So sticking with this one. So working for this call center, there's this big guy. He's probably, I was like 18, 19 years old at the time. This guy was probably in his 50s, and his name was Charles Blow. And everyone called him Chuck. Chuck Blow.
Terrible name.
And I know like there's no way that Chuck Blow is A, either still alive, I highly doubt it, or B, watching this show. So I don't mind name dropping him. So we would go out to this little smoking section out in the parking lot, and everyone would have a cigarette. And it was always in this little corner area. And he's out there one day, and he talked like this. And you got to remember, we were out in New Hampshire, so everyone had these accents, okay? I'm going to start coughing just from impersonating him.
It's part of it. It's part of the character.
We're like, what's up, Chuck? I'm like, how was your weekend? He's like, well, you know, kind of a tough weekend. A dog been having lots of health problems. This poor thing. He was over in the corner. We knew he was failing, but he's over there. We're watching him, and he's just pissing urine. He's pissing urine everywhere.
He's like, yeah, that's dogs.
My buddy Pat and I, we know he was trying to say he was peeing blood. But he just kept saying piss and urine over and he was just over there. You had to feel for the little guy. He's just pissing urine all over the floor. So, yeah, I wasn't pissing urine, but I was, cleaning up piss and puke and that sort of thing. So that was my weekend.
You had a good weekend, huh?
Goodness.
And not so dry farts this weekend out of yours truly. And that's all I'll say. With that being said, are we excited for Guardians of the Galaxy? What are we thinking? Are we all going to see it this week? Are we going to rush out there and see it on opening night? What's the deal here?
I usually try to see it on opening night. Unfortunately, not going to be able to this go around. So I think Saturday is going to be the night for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not usually able to make it on the night of, but I'm going to see it ASAP because it's one of my favorite lineups. Like I love those movies so much. Can't wait to see them. Can't wait to see.
Spoilers will be abound. So
the
sooner you see it, the better.
There's a ticking clock on that. You have to see it soon because you'll get it spoiled and it will
I'll be so pissed if I get.
I'm assuming you're keeping count of my that being said. I assume that's what that number is, and the fact that I'm only at 2 is actually astounding.
At 10 you get a free sandwich.
Really? Oh shit. There's not much I won't do for a free sandwich. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, Quantumania was trash. I think we can all agree that movie sucked for those of us who saw it.
I don't agree.
Please do tell.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. It showed a ton of imagination. The art, the scenery was insane. The story, of course, there were some parts where kind of like, it's, like I wasn't a huge fan of MODOK. I don't like what they did. I liked how the character looked when he was in battle mode. I did not like how he looked otherwise. I thought that was terrible. He reminded me of the, if you've ever seen the Gorillaz music video for Dare, the song Dare, he's just a big head and he's about, that's all I could think of. Otherwise, honestly, I liked the movie a lot aside from that one part.
Wow.
That was really my only complaint. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a spectacle. It was something else.
It was definitely something else.
I'll keep it. I'll take your half then. I'll get your half.
Okay. You can take the whole thing.
I'll take the whole thing.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, no matter how wrong they are.
Well, that's what's great though, is like, now I will just forever until I'm dead will shit on any opinion that I don't agree with, because that's just who I am. It's in my nature. But that's what's great about these conversations, the fact that we all do have such differing opinions. So I'm glad you liked it. I mean, there were pieces of it I liked, but
I had a blast. I loved it. I was laughing the whole time, yucking it up.
I was a big fan when the end credits
rolled. Sorry, what was that?
Said I was a big fan when the end credits rolled.
Okay. I definitely cheered, not for the movie, but for the fact that it was over. But no, with Guardians, I don't think they can get it wrong. James Gunn has done an absolute phenomenal job with the series. I mean, 2 wasn't perfect, but I still thought it was very entertaining. There was a lot to like. It was a lot of fun. And like for me, it's I took a peek. They released the soundtrack for Guardians 3, and like
fantastic.
Like it looks so good.
I mean, that's always been one of the biggest driving forces of the Guardians movies. The soundtrack is almost another character. It's almost another member of the team.
Yeah, very true.
I'm looking forward to Adam Warlock. I'm hearing a lot of great things. I can't think what's that kid actor's name that's playing him. I can't think of his name.
Ezra Miller. Ezra.
No. That's the Flash.
No, that's
the other.
Flash.
Oh, that's the other one. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a hard name.
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but he looks great. I'm hearing good things about his performance. But aside from Guardians, I think I was kind of hoping with Quantumania that we were kind of turning the corner with the MCU in general and kind of getting some more definitive direction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even that's up in the air because everything going on with Jonathan Majors, with Kang. I mean, we don't even know if they're going to have to recast him. And this is after having an audience of Kangs like in a Coliseum and building up the next 10 years for him to be the big bad. Like,
you kind of want it to, you want it to be someone they can show and do press conferences and make and sign autographs, like all that stuff. It needs to be a respectable actor, which really sucks. That he did such an incredible job, you know, separating the artist from the life. Like I really hate that he did what he did because I loved his performance. He had such gravity. Like it was
allegedly. We don't know.
Whatever the case is, the fact is he was dropped. I mean, no matter right or wrong, that did happen.
So I mean, his agent dropped from Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel hasn't made a statement.
Oh, okay. I assume when the agent drops him, it's over.
Which is interesting. I mean, clearly they know what a big investment they have in him, so they're not being quick to pull the trigger, which is good. You know, I think
I hope he's
a lot of times in these situations, you know, there's knee-jerk reactions. You know, studios try to get in front of these things, but it seems like Marvel's kind of taking a wait and see approach.
Which I think is smart.
And I really think that their lawyers are writing up both sides right now. You know what I mean? They've got statements prepared for either way to go with it, and they're just sitting with which one on deck, you know?
They're printing football jerseys right like before the Super Bowl. They're doing both. They're going to dump one of them into like some country way over here, and everyone's going to get free jerseys for a team that never won. And then this,
right.
Will Poulter is the name of
that's his name.
He's fantastic
from that RV movie with
RV. He was great in Shameless, right?
No, he wasn't in Shameless. You're
confusing that's the other kid. I'm thinking of the other one. Yeah,
you're thinking of the kid that's in the Fallen Order, the Jedi.
That's the
video
one.
games.
That's the one. I got him mixed up.
Yep. Yeah, Will Poulter. So he looks good. The character looks good. The Infinity Gauntlet comic series is one of my all-time favorite Marvel comics. That story was amazing.
Right.
There's a lot of Adam Warlock, and I know, Rich, you're probably nodding your head like a lot of Adam Warlock. He's a very prominent role in that comic series, even some of the comic storylines leading up to that. So I'm excited. Like I'm just glad we're getting it, and I think he looks the part. From what I'm hearing, he's acting the part. So I'm excited for what's to come.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
he's very good.
And we'll report back to you. We'll give you a full breakdown after we see the movie with our thoughts for sure. But outside of that, an announcement that I thought I was kind of surprised about. I didn't expect this. There's so Loki season 2 was not delayed, and their trailer is going to be dropping in 2 weeks. So we're going to get the trailer for Loki season 2 with a date for the release of that series. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And again, like Jonathan Majors with Kang is going to be he's going to have a heavy involvement in that series, clearly. So I'm just kind of curious how they're going to navigate those waters. They've got a lot invested in that guy, so I'm hoping for the best. I'm optimistic that some of those allegations and we can move forward because I think Majors is a fantastic actor. I think he kills it as Kang. He's perfect.
Oh yeah, I want nothing more than him to be innocent, and hopefully none of that happened. I really do hope that because I really wish they could just keep him. I do, but they have to do what's right at the end of the day. So we'll see.
He has that quiet menace.
Oh, dude, he has so much.
The way he plays Kang.
Yes.
Yep.
Very intimidating, but also forgiving at the same time. He does that very well.
Yep. Yes, Corey. It's quite a shirt.
Jake the Snake.
Yep. Yeah, I walked into Stewart's a few weeks ago with this shirt on, and someone's like, "Oh, Raiders!" I'm like, "Fucking Raiders!" Jake the Snake. I understand. It looks like
I can't read.
Take a look. But
it's in a book.
Yeah.
Friggin' Reading Rainbow, bro. Check it out. Come on.
So
use your eyes.
Some casting rumors. So Margot Robbie appears to have been offered the role of Sue Storm for Fantastic Four. We've got these are the three and again, nothing's confirmed, but so far, Margot Robbie was offered the role of Sue Storm. Paul Mescal was offered the role of Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. And there's also rumors that Adam Driver has been offered the role of Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. So what are your thoughts on those rumors and those roles? I know, Rich, you fucking hate the fact that Adam Driver was offered that role. I don't know what your anti-proclivity to Adam Driver is, but let's hear it.
He has an ear phobia. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about it. No. I think Adam Driver's a fine actor. I do. I don't see him as Reed Richards. But yeah, I don't know. Just sometimes you get these casting rumors and you're like, oh yeah, I can absolutely see that person in that role. I can't at all with Adam Driver.
Yeah, I'm there with you, Rich. I don't see it either.
I like him. I think he's a good actor. I don't I don't think he's a good fit for that role.
I think he has the intense, like seeing A Quiet Place, or not A Quiet Place. That seeing that he has that ability to be very intense, but also like he does kind of just seem like that character to me. I mean, I see it personally, but I want to see what they do with this character, like personality wise.
I get what Corey's saying here too. Star Wars characters are always their characters. Like some certain actors in certain roles, they kind of carry that with them. So like there are some. It's like the George Costanza treatment with you know what I mean. Like sometimes that just stays with you. Like obviously, if you see Robert Downey Jr. in a movie, all you're gonna think of is Iron Man. So like I get that, but he
has the ability to kind of supersede that role. I mean, he was in it recently at Sherlock Holmes, and he's in other movies, and I don't necessarily see Tony Stark.
Those were the beginning. That was the beginning of his Iron Man days, though. He hadn't. There was no Infinity War, Endgame, or any of that when he was doing Sherlock Holmes. Like he had.
But he's watching those movies now. I don't immediately think, oh, that's Tony Stark. I don't know. And just while we're talking about those Fantastic Four cast rumors, I feel the same way about Margot Robbie. I just I can't get Harley Quinn out of my head. It's nothing against her. I think she's a fine actress. But yeah, I don't know. When I see her now, it's Harley.
A lot of it for me is that accent. She sells that accent so hard, and I know that's not even her real accent, but I think about that. I think about like Wolf of Wall Street. Like her portrayals in that. I guess I don't see her in the character of Sue Storm.
Well, I mean, Bagel Cookies, Ashley, good point. I also saw John Bernthal as Shane in The Walking Dead until he played the Punisher.
And it took multiple episodes.
Just because somebody was a success in one role doesn't mean that that's their the role that they're going to be most known for. I mean, you could say the same thing about actors like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino prior to them being in some of these huge movies they were in. You could go back and say, well, I can only see him as so and so. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. Yeah. Jason Mauricio from Shallow Hal. Who was George Costanza? That I love it. Yeah, that movie. I mean, by the way,
the Fantastic Four movie could come out, and they could nail these roles, and we may then going forward only think of them as those characters. But just as it stands right now, as a casting rumor, it's hard for me to connect those actors to those characters.
Yeah,
I think just picture Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's half of it is on the actor to be a breakout. Like they have to do something to not just do the character that's written, they have to bring something extra to it while also acting differently than their typecast role. So they have two jobs, but then they have to do those two jobs pitted against the script and against the director and the producer. So they have to juggle giving personality and changing personalities, but not changing the script and the feel. So they have a lot to accomplish, which is why only some of them can do that and break out of those typecast roles, because they have to bring something new. They have to work with the producer, the director. They have to split those uprights, and that's why
I think he's capable of it, though, man.
I do too. I have all the faith in Margot Robbie. I mean, I think she's awesome in everything. I
don't know who Johnny Storm is, not Johnny Storm. Johnny Storm. I don't know who that guy is.
The Flame.
What's the actor?
Paul Mescal. I have no idea who he is. Doesn't look familiar.
gonna get
Yeah, see, like perfect example. Like Joe Pesci will always be Harry from Home Alone. Like, not to me. Like
Gold tooth.
I don't like Home Alone, Harry. Like I get it, but like for me, it's Goodfellas.
But I think more along the lines of things like Daniel Stern, where him in Home Alone is the same as him in Bushwhacked, which is the same type of character that keeps playing.
Man,
Bushwhacked is incredible.
But that's what I think of. I think of when I think of things like Margot Robbie, like she's typecast as a character.
And going back to the Joe Pesci thing, he always kind of plays that wise guy character,
right?
Yeah.
He
just kind of has that.
So it may not be the exact same character, but he's
okay.
Yeah.
So Adam Driver, Kylo Ren, intelligent villain who turns good, right? So he's got the power of the Force. Okay, he's hero-esque, you would say, in the end. How much different is that from Reed Richards? Reed Richards is a super intelligent being. I think he fits the mold for that. Way better than fucking Jim from The Office.
Well,
I love John Krasinski, but like
super intelligent is kind of understating it. Reed Richards is supposed to be the
smartest man in the universe,
transcendent intelligence,
second or third smartest person in the MCU.
The reason why Jim Halpert works so well for me is because his physical appearance fit the bill so hard.
But you're just
but see, the thing is that when I'm looking at it, I'm picturing it, yes, from the comics, but I'm looking at it, or from the 90s cartoon even, or what have you. I don't see Adam Driver there with that. His face
you haven't seen him with
like
short
that
hair
don't
yet.
fit what I want. It's not the hair.
He's
the
tall, he's lanky, and if he cuts that hair and does the gray and the size and slick, I guarantee you he fits that part.
His face is too long.
I'm having a hard time seeing it.
I remember. So this feels very reminiscent of a conversation I had years ago, and this conversation was when what's his name, Robert Pattinson, was cast for the Batman, and everyone's like, "Oh, no way! Like, there's no chance that he's gonna pull this off. He's a pussy. Like, look at the roles he's played. Like, what a bitch! Like, he can't play Batman. No one's gonna take him serious." And I was sitting here, not here, but somewhere. I was sitting somewhere. I'm sure. I don't like standing.
I was astral projecting
down, and I was having this conversation. Okay, and I remember. And I know, Rich, I've had this conversation with you for sure on Robert Pattinson. And I said, I bet he fucking kills it as Batman. You're only picturing him in this other role because he hasn't done this role yet. And I guarantee you, later on, we are going to be having a similar conversation where you're like, you know what? He pulled it off. I couldn't see it at the time.
Maybe
but
he will. And maybe he will.
He will.
Listen, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care who they cast. I hope whoever they do cast does pull it off to great success. The Fantastic Four deserves nothing less. I mean, they've had, several false starts over the years.
They need this.
They need it. Yes. Yeah. So I absolutely, if it is in fact Kylo Ren, I mean Adam Driver that they cast,
use his Christian name. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I obviously I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for all things Marvel success. So, we will see. I will certainly be his biggest supporter. Should they cast him in that role?
You never know. They could surprise you. You never know. So. Yeah, I'm a big fan of just wait and see and then make your decision because you never know.
When it comes to Paul Mescal, I'll say I've never seen anything he's been in. I just
looked
up his filmography. I've never seen a single movie. He's an Irish actor. He's won some BAFTAs.
He's like 20 years old too. I think
he's gonna kill it. I bet he will.
So Marvel does this. They get these wild cards sometimes, and almost always they nail it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for with him. I think that Johnny Storm, is a young kid. As long as they play what my envisionment of Johnny Storm is, when it comes to the comics and the 90s cartoon and stuff like that, that's what I want to see. And if they nail that, then that's all I want.
Yeah, Marvel
light the kid on fire. Like, light him on fire. That's cool with me. That's enough for me. That's my Johnny Storm.
And the CGI's got to be on point for the fire stuff.
It does. So speaking of Marvel, they just
no rubber suits for the Thing.
No, oh God,
the rubber.
Jesus, please God, no rubber suits. Holy shit! If you're gonna do it, get Jim Henson's son. and have him do it. It's the only way I'll back it.
You come correct.
I'm not fucking around. But so they just added the Spider-Man movies to Disney Plus, like the original, like the Tobey Maguire,
Yes,
and the Andrew Garfield ones. So I spent my weekend watching them with my kids. So we watched Spider-Man 1, 2, 3 with Tobey Maguire, and we started the Amazing Spider-Man movie. So we started with the first one. I gotta say, I'd only seen the Amazing Spider-Man once.
Really?
When it came out with Andrew Garfield. That movie, honestly, really went up big time.
They're underrated.
Oh,
for sure.
Super underrated. Absolutely.
That movie was fantastic. The Lizard, they could have done better with the design of his face. That's my only complaint. I think the CGI was okay, but the design of his face, it was too round. It just looked goofy as fuck. It didn't work. But I liked everything else with the movie. I loved the casting in that movie. I thought was great. Like everything was really well
Andrew
done.
Garfield did a fantastic job.
He did do a fantastic job.
He did a Francesco job.
A Francesco.
Honestly, my only complaint with those movies were some of the crummy CG on the enemies. Everything else was great. Like, you got a little emo towards the end, but I mean, it was still good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they killed his girlfriend. I'd get emo too.
I will say that Spider-Man
What a great
3,
scene that was, though.
Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire is a pile of hot shit.
Okay, so I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm going to add an asterisk that the Venom storyline was hot garbage. Had they done that differently, I think it would have been a decent movie. May not have been a great movie, but I really liked the Sandman story. I thought Thomas Hayden Church did a really fantastic job with that character.
He did.
But yeah, they just totally dropped. I think they did well with him. Totally dropped the ball with Venom.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
It's a fair assessment.
Venom was fucking awful. The noises he would make alone is like, dude.
Well, I mean, and just talk about miscast. I mean, Topher Grace as Eddie Brock. That just doesn't work.
That
for
doesn't
me.
make any sense.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't hate the casting with him.
That
Eddie
one
Brock,
wasn't great.
Just that one, not that one role specifically. I'm right there with you, Rich. It's just Eddie Brock was like a bully, big guy, tough guy. Like it just didn't seem to fit.
He needed to have some gravitas, as they say. Gravitas.
Yeah. Ventilated.
Someone like Tom Hardy.
Right. Tom Hardy was good. Yeah.
Oh, fuck Tom Hardy. He's the most, for God's sakes, most overrated fucking actor ever.
Piss off.
I just thought that he did a good job with Venom.
He
and Eddie
sucked
Brock, I thought it was a good
bad.
role.
No.
I enjoyed those movies. They were fun.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, God. Won't put that one on the screen, but holy shit. Yeah, so I mean he might as well have been.
Tom Hardy, come on, he rules.
Yeah, no, Tom Hardy literally can't act. He's just himself in every movie he's in. He just plays himself.
As long as he takes the right roles, then we're all set.
That's it. He just is the dude who just rolled out of bed.
Well, I mean,
hair.
You know, this is what I've been saying all along about The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, Chris Pratt. I mean, they all play themselves in every movie, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Well, for The Rock, it is. He can fuck off at this point. I'm all set with.
I'm done
movies.
with The Rock. I'm done with
Your
The
doors
Rock.
are thick, Rich.
I mean, listen, I enjoy Chris Pratt. I enjoy Ryan Reynolds. They play themselves really well. It's really enjoyable.
Mark Wahlberg, I mean, he's in that category too.
I mean,
I saw Transformer.
But dude, like Ryan Reynolds, I actually disagree with because I thought that. And then he came out with that. What was the horror movie remake?
What, Amityville?
Amityville Horror. I thought he killed it in that role.
Ryan Reynolds
did a really good job in that.
He can act really well, but most of his roles he gets hired for, they hire him to play Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
I think we touched on the movie Buried, where he gets buried in a box in the desert.
Right. Yeah, we talked about
movie,
that
I
during
mean,
the horrors.
if you can not have an anxiety attack watching that movie, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes. I've loved everything he's done.
Buried. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, Buried. Yeah, fantastic movie. So he can actually act.
Deadpool
but
3 is going to roll.
Most of the roles he's given, they're like, hey, just go out there and be yourself.
Yep.
Be an asshole. We like it when you do that. So he does.
I just want The Rock back in WWE for fuck's sakes. Like, just come back, have another run for a year. Like, I don't need to see him playing the same character in every fucking movie, and he's in so many movies right now. Like, I feel like he comes out, he's in a new movie every 6 months. Like,
isn't he confirmed to do his live action?
He's doing
portrayal in
the
Moana.
Live action Moana. Like, okay, we're just getting a live action Little Mermaid. Okay, when did the Little Mermaid come out?
Eons ago.
I mean, that's a whole other
live action Aladdin. That was how many years later?
30 years
live
ago,
action Lion.
Yeah, Disney doing live action remakes. They need to pump the brakes on that.
I'm cool with the live action remakes, and don't get me wrong, I am equally as excited for the new Little Mermaid as I am Guardians of the Galaxy.
Are you?
Little Mermaid is one of my all-time favorite Disney movies. I don't give a shit how that sounds.
It looks
amazing.
Movie
is fantastic. I cannot wait.
I'm not excited at all.
Dude, you see Ursula? When you see Ursula, Tim?
Well, I'm
so
pissed at the casting.
Yeah, so I was going to say my biggest issue with The Little Mermaid, I'm not a fan of Melissa McCarthy and her brand of comedy. No. Yeah, at all.
I feel like Ursula should have been played by the lady who played Blanche Devereaux in The Golden Girls or something. someone with like a fucking deep voice.
I've got a deal for you.
They should have used Mimi Bobek from Drew Carey show to play Ursula.
God,
that would have been spot
just
on.
Mimi comes out with the squid tentacles.
Cassie Kinney.
You guys like hentai? He just comes out.
Yeah, I don't know. Opening weekend, let's go. Only if we can sing all the songs in that movie on the way to the theater. That's my only request.
I would say they needed someone like a Glenn Close, but she was already Cruella.
Right.
But
she was already the pirate and Hook.
And there's no way she would be able to gain enough weight to do.
But they need somebody like that. Yeah, I don't care for Melissa McCarthy.
I'm trying to think of who could play a great Ursula. Like there's got to be somebody that they could have just knocked it out of the park with.
There's got to be some diva actress who can sing but can portray like that. I'm sure there's some probably musician.
Lady Gaga, I would say.
I mean, I could almost see that.
I could actually see Lady Gaga playing Ursula, to be honest with you. That's not bad. But I feel like her voice isn't like raspy enough. Like she needs.
I think she
could be like a woman who smoked for 45 years. Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates
could be good. Can she sing though? I don't know if Kathy Bates can sing.
Someone really just say Lizzo.
Yeah, dude, we're doing Lizzo.
Out of here with Lizzo. We're doing Lizzo. If Lizzo is cast as a Disney villain, I will literally riot. It's bad enough she already ruined The Mandalorian.
Jesus.
God, Lizzo.
Rebel Wilson. Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Rebel Wilson. I could see
Rebel Wilson. I could definitely see Kathy Bates if she can sing.
I don't know. I feel like Rebel Wilson will pull off like a snarky Ursula.
Yeah,
it wouldn't quite be that menacing as she would just,
Yeah,
I think Adele lost too much weight to play Ursula.
She would have to be
Adele from she needs to go back to Adele. Fat Adele.
OG Adele.
Going to play Ursula. She's
too
thin.
What about like a Judi Dench?
Ooh, okay.
Maybe.
Old though.
Yeah, I think it's maybe
old.
That saltwater plays hell on you, man. After 70 years,
maybe a few years ago, but I don't like the Ursula casting though.
I agree, Corey. I agree. But
what do you guys think about Flounder?
Oof, it looks like shit. But it's
Flounder and Sebastian are rough. I don't know what's going on with that, but they might get the Sonic treatment and get redone at the last minute.
I'm hoping.
Yeah,
they just don't have any of that. Like
they went too far in the ultra realism there.
How are you going to make facial expressions when you're using genuine fish faces? Yeah. I don't get it.
It's
just emotionless glass eyes. They just follow.
But also, picture the alternative. You've got a live action movie with all real people, and then this big fucking goofy ass fish.
And then MODOK scoots into frame. What are we doing, guys?
Adele got skinny, but she still has tentacles.
Oh boy,
probably not wrong.
She knows how to use them.
Angelica Houston. That's another.
Yeah, she'd be good.
God,
that's another good casting right there.
That would be great. Anyway,
Queen Latifah.
A lot of Little Mermaid talk. Jesus Christ!
Bet you didn't expect that when you hopped onto the podcast tonight there.
No, I didn't. I'm almost sorry I brought it up, but with that being said, before we wrap up and jump into our rankings here, so the Spider-Man movies, Tobey Maguire movies, fantastic. Willem Dafoe, like that guy needs to be
he's
cast
so good.
like in more. He's such a great evil son of a
Good
bitch.
Complicated villain.
He's good in everything. He's
everything he does.
And the guy who plays Doc Ock, like I can't
he's
think
great.
of the actor's name. He's amazing too.
Alfred Molina.
Yeah, he is incredible.
One more rumor as far as casting that I saw, as far as Marvel goes, and then we'll dive into our rankings. Amber Heard was offered the role of Emma Frost for the upcoming X-Men movies.
Ooh, really?
Don't like that at all.
You don't like that? Why?
I don't care for her as an actress.
I feel like she's always just her acting is very flat.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like one note.
But she's also people fucking hate her.
It has nothing to do with.
Might be smart. Cast her as Emma Frost.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Well, I don't mind it. But that's all I got for casting news. I guess we'll see. I'm all in. Give me Adam Driver all day. Give me Margot Robbie, all for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I need to come up with. They need to come up with who Thing is going to be.
Boondock Saints reference in the comments there.
I didn't see it. Oh, geez, yes. Mm-hmm.
There was a firefight.
We almost threw that on. We were scrolling through movies this weekend, Ashley and I, and
such a good movie.
We passed right by it. We should have.
Yeah,
those are great. Yeah, great.
That
movie.
is a classic.
And fun fact, Dan, I know you know who this is, but comedian Bob Marley in Boondock Saints is one of the cops, which is really weird. But
his first and last acting role.
Yes, and I love comedian Bob Marley,
and he did a great job too.
It's with Bob Marley.
Bob Marley.
Yeah,
comedian Bob Marley.
So, sticking with Marvel, I didn't realize it is 9:37. We're over the show. Let's jump into our top fives tonight. We are ranking top 5 Marvel Studios films. I am saying we had a little debate over this before the show, but I think anything goes if it's been made into canon, like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, all of these. I think they're all fair game as long as it's with this multiverse has been shifted into canon.
Okay, so that being said,
I'll drink to that.
Yeah. So now with the multiverse, is X-Men 93, the original cartoon, is that canon since Professor X made a cameo in Multiverse of Madness?
I think that's a stretch.
Is it though?
Is that a Fantastic Four joke?
Well, I don't want to do it because I'm going to have to redo my list because X-Men is going to be in there. So let's not.
I think it's technically, but we don't have to do that. Yeah.
All right. Well, these are the kind of details that I need before I jump into a top 5. I take these very seriously. So I need all of the parameters.
I was talking to my wife before the show, and because she said like she brought that up. She was like, well, technically, it depends on how exact we're being, but like. And I was like, well, technically they were talking about mutants. So, I mean, if mutants cross into Marvel, then they are aware of them. So even though they're not interacting, they are at least on their radar, technically.
The way I look at it, though,
actually kind of like,
that's a loose, like,
I know.
Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, they were literally in.
Right. Now they have a stronger
No Way
connection.
Home.
Right.
It was definitive. So, like, and I get it. Patrick Stewart was too. So you could tie in technically those X-Men movies, but I'll be honest.
Yeah, but he wasn't playing the Professor X from the X-Men movies. He was playing the Professor X from the X-Men cartoon from the early 90s.
He was playing Professor X from the X-Men movies.
Mm-mm.
Yes, he was.
Pull up an image. He's rocking the wheelchair.
He's got the yellow
cartoon.
Yeah, with the enclosed.
The child's race car bed wheelchair.
No, I know with the yellow wheelchair.
Peeling out all over.
Yep. It's a floating wheelchair.
I feel like the X-Men movies took place in tell me the Earth. It's not 616. What's the Deadpool? Do you know off the top of your head?
Oh yeah, it probably is that same Earth though. I don't know the number, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the X-Men universe, the Fox X-Men, took place on that same planet, that same Earth, as Professor X did in Multiverse of Madness, though. I'm pretty certain it's worth looking into, as Larry David would say. Like, you might want to look into that, but we'll look into that and we'll report back. But that being said, top 5 Marvel Studios movies in descending order. We'll start with number 5, and we will start with you, Rich. Number 5.
Oh, wasn't expecting that. All right.
I feel like I don't call on you first very often.
Jump scare.
You don't. This is the first time. That's why I wasn't expecting it. Number 5, No Way Home. While we're talking about Spider-Men's. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a fantastic movie, and not just for the nostalgia factor. Obviously, that was really great, and that's what got a lot of people to go see it. Seeing all of the characters from the past Spider-Mans, but just the it kind of culminated this story, the end of the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy, which has been fantastic. Well, I think it's the end of that trilogy. I think that was like a,
it's going on to like a different phase, though. I can see what he's saying.
Right. Just like there's multiple phases within the MCU, there's multiple phases within Spider-Man. So that was, the wrap up on his trilogy, which has been fantastic. And it just, I think every movie in that series got better, and No Way Home just punctuated that. Obviously, the cameos just made it that much better. So number 5.
Okay. We will go clockwise here. Number 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. For all the reasons you just mentioned. And I had to ask myself this question, and it was one that, like, I left that theater thinking, holy shit, that was one of the best Spider-Man movies, Marvel movies that I've ever seen. Yeah. I was so entertained by it. And then I had to ask myself, like, okay, the nostalgia factor with the Green Goblin and Doc Ock, and I didn't give a shit about the other villains, but like those two in particular, plus Tobey Maguire and Garfield, like, how much of that do I weigh in with my like overall score of that movie? And the answer was, like, as great as that shit was, without it, I think it still holds up.
Interesting.
Tom Holland's acting in that movie was so good. I think this was the first movie that he didn't need Tony Stark, didn't need Downey as like a supporting role. He stood on his own. I think he really like took himself and propelled his, as from an acting chops perspective, to the next level. So overall, I loved it. I think it's deserving of the top 5. It's tough because I love Homecoming also. So it's a toss up when it comes down to it. I love Homecoming. I love Keaton's villain as Vulture. Yeah. But ultimately, number 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. So, Donnelly, number 5.
Number 5 for me is the Avengers first movie. That's my number 5. I just love the fact that they were setting something up, and it felt like that first piece was finally coming together from all of the buildup of the previous movies that came out before that. And it was nice to see an actual ensemble superhero movie that did well. And it's just that has not happened until then, and that kind of marked that moment in all of cinematic history for me. So goes to my number 5.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I can see that. I don't hate it. Like, it's not in my top 5, maybe my top 10 towards the end of top 10, but I respect it. Great movie. Dan, number 5.
Number 5, I'm going to go with Doctor Strange. The first Doctor Strange.
Wow.
Yeah, that one, I really, really like that one. Sometimes I forget how much I like it until I remember the kind of how the movie ends with, with Dormammu and all that kind of stuff. Cause it's such an imaginative way. It's such an imaginative villain where like, you're not just beating it with strength. You're not just sealing it away. Like you have to outsmart it essentially. And for such a cosmically old being, that's a very impressive feat. And I really like that Doctor Strange, he had to essentially figure out how to do that. And he essentially adopts like the UW control way of playing Magic the Gathering, where like you don't have to beat the creatures. You can wipe them out and just once they have nothing, you can just go in and
control.
He pulls the Azorius, he pulls the UW, and he'll just supreme verdict you over and over until you just you scoop, And I really like that. I really enjoyed the post on our Facebook page earlier today about, you have to beat the devil at a game to win your soul back. What is the game? And it was Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Really, really funny.
Yep.
But
every time I hear "beat the devil," I just think of Bob Ross and just how he beats the devil out of it every time.
And Charlie Daniels playing the fiddle while it's happening. Chicken and bread pan picking out dough. Yeah. So number 5, Doctor Strange. Because
interesting. I like it because that's off the wall. I was not expecting that one. I love that movie, but it's definitely a lot lower. But I respect the hell out of it.
Dormammu was the original host of Let's Make a Deal. Yeah. And then he got replaced by Doctor Strange, and then the rest is history.
It's a respectable pick.
It is. Rich, number 4.
My number 4 is going to wait. Did we skip Donnelly?
Nope.
No, we didn't. We just fell asleep.
Oh. I am going to go with the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So, those movies. Obviously, haven't seen the third one yet, but.
Haven't seen it yet? What the fuck? What are you waiting for?
Yeah, I know. I kind of dropped the ball on that. But, those movies have always been a, kind of an enclosed ecosystem unto themselves. They've been about... Exactly. They've been about that tight-knit group that's become family over the course of, their 2 movies and, the other crossovers that they've been in, the Disney special. They've quite literally become family. If you have watched the Disney Christmas special, which you absolutely should, with guest stars Kevin Bacon. Spoilers. In the comics, the Guardians and the cosmic characters as a whole were always kind of on the fringe. Every once in a while, crossing over. When there was a big Avengers or X-Men event, but always kind of staying in their own little corner of the Marvel universe. So really Guardians of the Galaxy brought them to the forefront. And I think those characters are fantastic. Their story has been fantastic, and I'm really excited to see how they wrap it up.
That's what she said. Every time you said family, I mean, this is all I can think of.
Yeah, well,
Corona.
I mean, it's apropos since he is Groot.
Granny shifting, not double clutching.
I watched a clip, and I read an article today that he recorded like I don't know, something like 50 different ways of saying "I am Groot." I'm paid $45 million to do that.
It's gonna
to
be
just
right.
come in for like an hour and just be like, "I am Groot. I am Groot." Like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's not a bad payday.
Nope.
It's not a bad payday. But I guess when you're family, that's just how it goes.
Are you expecting anything less from the mastermind of Pitch Black? I mean, he's going to do what it takes, whether it's buffing his eyes for 20 menthol cool, doesn't matter. He's going to get the perfect take. It's got to happen.
Riddick doesn't fail.
He doesn't shave his head every goddamn day for no reason.
Oh my God. That's
He's
amazing.
ready.
So my number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right.
I hate when Rich and I have the same list because it doesn't happen very often, but it's happened once before and it seems to be trending that way now. And I have a weird feeling it might actually be the same list, but Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Soundtrack, the first one, just it hit different. When that movie came out, it just hit different. If you think of the time period that we got that, we didn't have a lot of like Marvel Studios comedy going on in the MCU at that point. So when that came in, like they kind of introduced us to that like comedic side. And I think they realized after seeing how successful it was. And let's talk about what makes a great movie, a great villain. Yep. Ronan was amazing. We got introduced to Thanos, like perfect movie in my opinion. It's a great movie. I have nothing but good to say about the original Guardians. But that's why it's my number 4.
I bet our list is going to be just about identical.
It might be the only one that's
there's one that yeah.
I think I know.
Yeah.
Like there's one that I also like, but I know you love.
Yeah.
So if that's in your top 5, then our lists are not the same.
Right.
And I know we're on the same page there. But Donnelly, number 4.
So just real quick before my number 4, I think that we should make a game where you guys send us, Dan and I, what you think each other's top 5s would be.
Yeah.
Oh,
and we make a little game out of it and see how close you guys can nail each other's lists.
Yeah. Depending on the topic, like certain topics, I
think you could.
I can read Rich like a book, but certain other ones maybe not.
But with that being said, my what are we at? Number 4 now?
4.
Number 4. Yep.
My number 4 is Infinity War.
Okay. Number 4.
Yep. Number 4.
Interesting.
I thought it was all right until the ending, and I was like, wow, because for once the good guys lost.
Yeah.
And that was huge, and that doesn't happen a lot. And I'm not the biggest MCU fan. I haven't seen all the movies. So that's where I'm going to rank my number 4 is Infinity War, which rhymes.
You're just an MCU hater. You're jealous. You're jealous because you have a hard-on for DC.
I mean, I do for DC, but it's not a hater towards Marvel. Like I also enjoy Marvel, but the MCU I think is overhyped for what it is. I mean, it doesn't sell me as hard as it sells the real fanboys of it.
Objectively speaking, way low. Way.
Which is fine.
Dan, number 4.
Number 4, I'm going to go with the first Iron Man. OG Iron Man. I love that movie a lot. I like how serious it gets. At times where it gets dark and real, for him, and he literally has to like scrape himself back together and make himself into a hero, or else he's gonna die. It was one of those like he doesn't have this long timeline and montage. He has to get this figured out within a day or two, or he's dead. So I really like that it puts that clock, and then as soon as he gets out, he has to then go deal with a bunch of other problems. The pacing, the drama, that movie was so well done, and they set up, they gave Iron Man such a perfect setup for who he becomes later, where you get to see his evolution, where he started and where he ended. But he started as a hero pretty quickly as we get to see him. It's not like Batman where him for you hear about his backstory with his family and all that. He kind of he's his father's son. His father's a great inventor and all this stuff, and then that's it. For the most part. So he comes online and then he gets going, and just love it. Love that movie.
Movie's fantastic.
Yeah.
Little low, but fantastic movie.
A little high, but
little high.
You take
for
the
Iron Man. You're insane, Rich. Rich, number 3. I already know what it is. Don't look at the chat. I'm gonna type it in the chat. Don't look at the chat. What's your number 3?
No screen looking.
My number 3 is Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah, now look at the chat.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the exact movie I was referring to.
So not only do I think it's one of the best MCU movies, I will go so far as to say I think it is one of the best just out and out action movies of all time. It is fantastic.
It is good.
It doesn't miss a beat, almost from the get-go. It's nonstop action, fantastic story.
You love the casting for Baron Zemo. I don't love it.
I don't, but I don't think it detracted that much from the movie. Also, they didn't do that much with the character in that movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't
much with it with the Falcon Winter Soldier either.
I mean, they fleshed him out a little bit more in the series, but no, overall, I don't love his casting. I mean, I can get by it. I don't think it's terrible. It doesn't distract any or take away from the movie for me. I don't know. I mean, I think it was a fantastic story. It's a beloved comic storyline that they, obviously had to modify for the big screen, but overall, I think it's again not just one of the best MCU movies, but one of the best action movies of all time.
I have a recast. I have a on the spot recast for that character, Christoph Waltz. Christoph Waltz, the Nazi officer in Inglourious Bastards. He would be incredible as that role because they're just copying that kind of vibe anyway. So
I would disagree with that. I think that
You know what?
that
I
would make better
He's
casting. Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't hate that.
Christoph Waltz is so good, and he's like weird. He's like maniacal, but he's also comical at the same time. And but he's very serious. Like he has that weird, like you don't know where you stand with him, especially in that movie. But he plays a similar character in a lot of movies. But yeah, I think he would be awesome in that role too. But I like the guy they got too. But
I don't hate that. I don't know why my computer, I can't get this image to come up here. Okay. I agree. That's a good call.
Thanks.
My number 3, Thor Ragnarok.
Django ruled.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok. You want to talk soundtracks? You want to talk one of the greatest scenes in Marvel history is when Hela is holding Chris Hemsworth Thor over the edge, and she says, "Remind me, who are you the god of again?" And it's the flashback to Anthony Hopkins, and then the Led Zeppelin just and it's like, and when he dives down, and in my opinion,
it is a little low.
Marvel has been chasing that recipe that they hit with Thor Ragnarok ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they actually kind of fucked up the character of Thor a little bit because they were chasing what they accomplished in that movie. Because what they were able to accomplish there was a god, Thor, who was hilarious, introducing characters such as Korg, also hilarious.
Yep.
The comedy was spectacular, but it was not a deterrent from the action and the badassery of Chris Hemsworth as Thor. It was the perfect combination. I think they have since failed at hitting that mark. And I think they've been chasing it ever since because that was kind of that perfect storm of comedy, action, seriousness. And I think all they did with Thor Love and Thunder was just make Thor look like a jackass. Like, I think that movie is entertaining, but like, I think they really just make him look like a fucking jackass, and it irritates me.
I mean, in reality, he is kind of a jackass in the comics. His portrayal in Ragnarok and Love and Thunder are a lot more comic accurate than the first 2 Thor movies.
Not when you're talking original Avengers comics.
He is portrayed as a little bit of a bumbling idiot.
Well, yeah, but it's okay.
A badass, but
because he's still one of the most powerful people in the MCU, in Marvel, period. And I think they lose a little bit of that with Love and Thunder. But
what do you think about it when you take into account the reason for why it was so goofy?
What, for Love and Thunder?
Yeah, the entire purpose of the movie and why it was so extremely serious and then extremely goofy, back and forth oscillating. There's a reason why they did that.
I understand that, but I think they just went too far with the comedy, and I don't think the comedy landed.
Would you? Like well, I mean, it was supposed to be delusional.
What's that?
It's supposed to be delusional.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, like, it's not that there was too much comedy. It's that the comedy that they inserted didn't hit. It didn't land in that movie. In Love and Thunder, I don't think it was as funny as it was in movies like Ragnarok.
Yeah, I mean, I
was
think
laughing the whole time.
Well, you were laughing at Quantumania the whole time too. To be fair,
not laughing, I was in awe. I was in awe of the scenery and the.
I was in awe at how shitty that movie was.
Quantumania is not good, but yeah, I think for Love and Thunder, I think they try to duplicate the success that they had with Ragnarok and just basically made a cheap carbon copy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Love and Thunder, but it is definitely the cheap knockoff of Ragnarok.
Yeah, I enjoyed Love and Thunder, but I think it could have been.
It's a mid-tier MCU movie. It is. It's definitely not towards the bottom.
I think maybe just slightly below mid. It's in the middle, but I think it's
lower. Bottom. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Again, I thought it was a fun movie. Like I don't hate the movie. There's only a handful of Marvel movies that I think are fucking atrocities. And it's not many. It's like 4 or 5 that I think just absolutely stink. That's not one of them. I did enjoy Love and Thunder.
Please tell me you liked Gore the God Butcher.
Oh my God, I loved him. Loved him.
Okay.
Absolutely loved him. I just don't love what they did with him. I feel like they could have done more with Bale than they did. Like, that's something that, in my opinion, they could have taken further. It could have been more than just a singular movie. That's my complaint.
Yeah.
I loved his cast.
But his strength and his power was in the mad dash, the berserker dash to end his goal. Like, he was not doing anything for, he was just trying to get one thing done, and that was it. So I don't think he had legs for a long time. I think his character was very single-minded, and once it resolved, that's it. Like,
so I don't know much of his character from the comics. Do you know much about him, Rich?
I do not.
Okay, because I don't.
Yeah.
Like, when they cast him, I had to look him up. Like, he didn't ring a bell. I don't remember him from the comics. So I don't know much of like what his actual story was based on in the movie. So I can't even like speak to how they did with it. But that being said, number 3, Donnelly.
My number 3 is the first Iron Man movie.
Okay.
Yep. So a lot of the same reasons that Dan had mentioned earlier. I think that it's a fantastic start off to the MCU. It really kicked it off. It really gave Marvel Studios the, opportunity to realize what the fans could do with, the fanship that's behind it and everything like that. A lot of superhero movies were one and done, aside from the early like Superman movies and stuff like that. Anytime they attempted sequels with Sony, with Fox and all that stuff, it never took off. This one started the legacy that is the MCU, and it deserves number 3 for me.
Hell yeah.
I agree. Love it. Number 3, Dan.
Number 3, I had to go Endgame.
Endgame. Okay.
Yep. I love that movie. I mean, very similar, Donnelly, to what you said about, the first Avengers movie, just finally seeing all these people come together for these big fights. Like, you get all these different character interactions, different powers play off other powers. They did a really good job with, having some, people link up and do a little super attack because they can use one power into the other. When you get those big group fights, you get a lot of that stuff, and you don't get that very often, unless you're watching Guardians of the Galaxy or Avengers, essentially, because, so yeah.
So
I absolutely love that one.
Endgame was a narrow miss for me, but man, let me tell you something. That movie doesn't get enough credit because it was considered kind of volume 2 of Infinity War. Everyone kind of reveres Infinity War as one of the greatest Marvel Studios movies of all time. But I got to be honest, Endgame is fucking awesome. Yeah. That movie is so good, and I think it's one of the most underrated movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The send-off for Iron Man too, such a fitting movie. Like, when we talk about how important Iron Man is, where he sets it up, starts it, you see how you see the kind of evolution of this type of character, and then you get the epic send-off in this one as well, on top of everything else that's happening, and they do a really good job of giving that a funeral. And like,
I agree.
That movie was
soundtrack is incredible. So good too in that movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the visuals, man. Like,
oh yeah.
Number 2, Rich.
Ragnarok.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think you said pretty much everything. It was a perfect combination of comedy, action, sci-fi, fantasy. The cast is perfect. Soundtrack, perfect. Yeah. I mean, I think we pretty much already hit on all the reasons why that is a top tier, and should definitely be a top 5 MCU movie for most people.
I agree. Yep. Number 2 for me is Infinity War. A lot of people have it at number 1, and I respect it. Great movie. We've already talked about it quite a bit. One of the points, I believe, Dan, I think you mentioned that the bad guys win. And I've spent my entire life rooting for heels in wrestling and villains in cinema. And to
Macho
see,
Man.
Yes, cup of coffee in the morning. Yeah.
It gets boring when the good guys always win. Right? There's no stakes if the good guys always win. They have to get taught a lesson.
He fucking snaps, and then everyone starts just fading away.
Everybody just turns to dust.
I'm like, this is beautiful.
Yep. It just left all the viewers with their jaws dropped.
Yep. Well, because then the stakes are real. Because the tendency is for the good guys to always win, and it's like, all right, at the end it's going to be a happy ending. Everyone's going to ride off into the sunset. But the bad guys won.
Yep.
The stakes were real.
Yep. So was the chicken and the sausage and the hot dogs. They all were. So number 2, Donnelly.
My number 2 is Guardians Volume 1. So you kept referring to Ragnarok as the perfect mix of comedy with action and seriousness involved with it, and I think the Guardians of the Galaxy really set that off for me. I loved the tongue-in-cheek, just the dialogue back and forth between the characters. And I know this isn't MCU, but the Guardians game is also fantastic for that. So if anybody hasn't played that, they should.
I actually have not played it yet.
I heard that was really good.
Oh my gosh, dude, it's so good. You really should check it out.
That's what I've heard.
They play the game just for the dialogue between the characters. It is phenomenal. But really, really good movie. Excellent movie. I know it's a lot of people love the Guardians Galaxy. I love the fact that they created that sub brand, like we talked about earlier when Rich brought it up, and that cemented it in my number 2.
Love it. Yeah, I think it's deserving there too.
Yep.
Number 2, Dan.
Daniel. I'm gonna go Guardians Volume 2.
Wow.
Yep.
Wait,
Guardians
did you have
Volume 2.
Volume 1 on your list?
What's up?
Did you have Volume 1 on your list?
Not so far.
That is a wild card.
That is a wild card.
Yeah, I like Guardians too. I love the villain being ego, where like it's this very manipulative, powerful force that just has it. Just I really like the more abstract. It's not just a big tough dude you got to be. Like it's an actual concept or like a planet or a set of planets. Like, yeah, I and they did a really good job. I think Donnelly, you were saying earlier, where like pushing them to become family, where they have to go even deeper than on the first one, where it's like some of them are now starting to sacrifice themselves and like really put their ass where their mouth is and really save each other and pull each other, in some cases pass away because of it. So yeah, I really like that one a lot. So that's my number 2.
I love it. I just didn't expect it, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, and what's great about that movie is, that's really where Nebula and Yondu kind of come into their own.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And really
Yondu
become part of that family.
Oh, yes. Yondu is spot on casting.
Yeah, perfect casting.
And you see in that one how much he really does care about Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
There we go.
Number 1.
You know it. You know what it is.
I do.
Infinity War.
Yep.
Yeah. We pretty much said everything about it that needs to be said. The only thing I'll add is really no one. I think everyone hoped it would be as good as it was, but I think everyone was. There was a lot of hesitation going into it. Like, how can they possibly pull this off? They've been setting this up for years. We've been, anticipating this. We've been, paying to see all these movies.
Yep.
Are they going to pull it off? There's no way. There's no way they can pull it off. And they nailed it. They crushed it. They hit it in every possible way. Yeah.
They exceeded my expectations going into that movie theater. They actually exceeded my expectations, which was crazy to me because it was so hyped up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, the bar was set so high, and like you said, they surpassed it.
I'm pretty sure
it's an incredible feat.
Pretty sure I saw that with you when I had my jacket filled with Miller Lights. And I walked in, and Rich is like, "Why does your coat look so bulky?" And it's like in front of. I'm like, "Dude,
yeah,
you want some? Shut the fuck up." I had like 10 beers. I was completely armed.
Yeah,
and these were
the
pounders.
Miller Lite scarecrow walking in.
Pounders. They weren't the short ones. They were the pounders.
A 40 just drops out of your back pocket and blows open on the floor. Oh, I had to pee real bad. Sorry.
You were damn glad that I did, though. Once we got into the movie.
Absolutely. But yeah, surpassed everyone's expectations. It was just fantastic in every way. The stakes were real. Even disregarding those who came back after the snap, there were permanent deaths in that movie. Which was really a permanent main character deaths, which was really a first time in the MCU. So it was a lot. It was fantastic. So that is my number 1.
I agree. And Infinity War, look, I get it. Like my 1 and 2 are close, but my number 1, I went with Iron Man, the original. for so many reasons. Like so many reasons. Like it started it all. It was like it felt like my moment to shine, where everyone was all excited about Marvel having kind of the MCU sparking off and like Marvel getting popular, and it's like, all right, like here we go.
This is
like,
the good
finally,
shit. Let's get the good shit
here's
going.
the good shit.
Yeah, creme de la creme.
I personally went into that movie expecting it to be shit because I didn't like Robert Downey Jr. And within like 5 minutes, I was like, oh my God, this might be perfect. Like this might be a perfect.
He nailed it. He nailed it.
Yeah.
As the movie went on, I was just blown away. I thought they could not have done a better job portraying the origin story of a character such as Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think you could ask for more. And it was Favreau's work. I love Favreau. It was the first in the MCU. It's Iron Man. It's Tony Stark, one of my all-time favorite characters. Just
Obadiah, one of the best.
Obadiah
is so
Stane
good.
as the villain. Yeah,
he was so good.
And Ironmonger, the giant fucking robot that he builds. Yeah, the suit that he builds. Fantastic movie all the way around. Love it. And again, I won't argue for people who have. Most people, it's universally well known and accepted that Infinity War is the best MCU movie. I'm not going to argue that. But for me, my personal favorite is always going to be the original Iron Man.
Yeah.
Donnelly.
I see. Oh, I'm sorry.
Chris
down in the chat, like I've known Chris for a long time, and he's always said Iron Man 1 will always be his favorite Marvel. Like whenever the new like Infinity War or something comes out, he's like, yeah, it was awesome, but I still like Iron Man 1 the most. Like it's one of those movies where it was just perfect and it just cemented itself immediately. It was such a called shot.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, and this is just Marvel, and Deadpool is technically included here.
Yeah.
I mean, I would include it. It wouldn't make my top 5, but I think I had Deadpool. Like when you and I sat down and actually wrote out we had like 40 movies.
Like every Marvel movie.
I think I had it somewhere around like I don't know, 14 or 15. I love the original Deadpool.
I mean, they're very good movies, but they're not top tier Marvel movies, in my opinion.
Agreed. Number 1, Donnelly.
Yeah, my number 1 is simply, we always rank our favorites, and one thing that I am an absolute sucker for is fan service and nostalgia. And that's why I'm going to put No Way Home at my number 1. Because I am an absolute sucker for when they pull that all together. You know what I mean? And they did it tastefully too. It wasn't like they were just cramming it together because they knew people wanted it.
They did. They did what I mean? Tastefully.
So that's what really separates that aside from a lot of times when you get cameos like that in other franchises.
And can we just say, like, Tom Holland is by far the best Spider-Man ever portrayed,
so
right?
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's so good. And I was a little put off when it was like, okay, we're going to high school Spider-Man as opposed to like college age Spider-Man and stuff like that. But he nailed it. It's so good.
But that's comic accurate,
Yeah.
Spider-Man, when he was introduced, was 15.
Right.
Yep.
So I mean, obviously, Tom Holland as an actor was older than that, but he looks a little younger.
But the cartoon animated series of the 90s and stuff like that, where Peter Parker's the college student and stuff, that's like my favorite era of Spider-Man. So that's always the one that, like, when I hear Spider-Man, I think of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
See, I think of young Spider-Man, like high school Spider-Man. So for me, like Tom Holland's portrayal in Homecoming was just like perfect. And I don't know. I that whole trilogy, man, I fucking love Spider-Man. And I've always enjoyed Spider-Man, grew up watching Spider-Man, but man, like my love for Spider-Man has grown exponentially just through these movies, through the Tobey Maguire movies, through the Andrew Garfield, now Tom Holland. Like, gotta hand it to, and it's Stan Lee's favorite.
Yeah, like that was his kid. Spider-Man was Stan Lee's child.
Even the Spider-Verse, like
I think Silver Surfer might be his favorite, but Spider-Man's a close second, if I remember.
I've only ever heard him say, like, I never had any children. Spider-Man is my child. Like, if I could pick my child, Peter Parker is my child.
He was a pretty big fan of the Fantastic Four too.
Oh yeah,
I think that was in those characters.
Yep. Number 1, Dan.
Number 1, it's got to be Ragnarok for me.
Wow. Okay.
Ragnarok. It's got everything. It's perfect.
Yep.
It hits everything. It's got Jeff Goldblum. It hits that. It's got junk planet. It's got, you know, space anuses. It's got everything in it. It's got Valkyries. It's got Hulk. I mean,
Valkyrie's great too.
Valkyrie is insane. The character is awesome.
Fantastic.
The actress is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, the movie is wall to wall, front to back. Like it just, it's nut to butt, bumper to bumper the whole way. That's my number
Agreed. one. And that is the list, right? That's our top 5.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, let us know in the comments, either in the video or in the Facebook group after the fact. If you are still here watching, please hit the thumbs up button. Takes 2 seconds. Means a lot to us. Helps us out in the algorithm. Any of you guys, any final thoughts before we send this bitch home?
Cool.
Yeah, Carl Urban in Ragnarok, underutilized. That's my only probably complaint about Ragnarok.
That's the Australian.
Is he Australian? I don't even know.
Or great.
New Zealand.
No, he was the executioner.
Oh, the executioner, right?
Oh, the executioner.
Yeah.
Oh,
but he did get to dual wield assault rifles, though.
He is
which is comic accurate. But yeah, he was underutilized, and if I had one complaint about Ragnarok, it was that his character, spoilers, does not make it.
Agreed. And can we talk about the fact, did you see the new Marvel Legends Executioner figure?
Ooh, I have not yet.
Rich, hold on. I'm going to just share it real quick.
Are they giving him a proper send-off with a nice...
Yes, they are,
nice
because the other one was just a Toy Biz one, and this wasn't great. And
please tell me he comes with both guns as well as an axe.
I can't find it. Damn it.
I hope the axe is shooter.
They spoiled it like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Looks amazing. I'll find it after the fact. You got to see it. I won't keep everybody on the live stream to look at a toy.
Yeah, put it on our Facebook.
Yeah, we'll post it on there. Still stewing at Tim ranking Deadpool at 14, having a huge John Wick boner. I do have a huge John Wick boner.
I wanted Deadpool 2 on mine, but I couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, I like them all. I'm excited for Deadpool 3 also. Bitch, female dog, yes. Send this female dog home. Any final thoughts before we send this female dog home?
Slap that dog on the butt and throw a chicken wing in the woods. It's out.
Love it. Well, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining us, where you can find us here on YouTube at Nerdstalgia Pod every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We took some votes in the Facebook group for topics for shows, and we did not forget we have planned topics for shows over the next couple of weeks. We're going to do a real deep dive into some of these great suggestions. And if you continue to think of more, and there are more suggestions that you want to see us rank, discuss, make sure to throw it in the comments below here or in the Facebook group. We will absolutely build episodes around those. But for Donnelly, for Dan, for Rich, I am Tim. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you next week right here on YouTube. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks.
Deuces.